Today we play golf.
Let me show you how we do it in the pros.
Welcome to Behind the Golf Brand Podcast.
I never miss with the 7-iron.
A conversation with some of the most interesting innovators and entrepreneurs behind the biggest names in golf.
My friends with the golf clubs. I lived on the golf course. I lived on the driving range.
From pro talk.
You should learn something from each and every single round you play.
To fun from on and off the green.
Why would you play golf if you don't play it for money?
Just let me put the ball in the hole.
This is Behind the Golf Brand Podcast with Paul Liberatore.
What's up, guys? Paul from Golfers Authority. Welcome to the Behind the Golf Brand Podcast. This week, I have a new friend of mine, Jesse Galvon from G-Tech. I have been following G-Tech for probably 2.5 years, maybe even longer. And then our buddy Nick from Groove was like, hey, you should talk to Jesse from G-Tech. And I was like, I know G-Tech. I get their emails like once a week. And so then Jess and I became friends, and we are going to be reviewing their gear. And I'm really excited to have them on the show because it's actually really cool what they're doing right now and how they've grown so quickly. So without further ado, welcome to the show.
Hey, Paul, thanks so much for having me on. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to the talk.
I always ask people, like, where are you right now? But I already know you're at. He's at his grandpa's house in Scottsdale. But where do you normally live?
So I'm originally from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Started the company up there, but I'm based full-time in Dallas, Texas right now. We've been there for 2 years. That's where G-Tech's U.S. head office is.
Are you a pro golfer?
I'm not a pro. I was really lucky. I played on a Division I golf scholarship at the University of San Francisco. So I left home when I was 17. Yeah, I got a little game. Left home at 17, moved down to San Fran, had an incredible time there, and I still do play quite a bit of amateur golf. I'm actually playing in the USGA 4-ball championship in May this year, which I'm super excited about. Those events are just run so well. It's like playing in a tour event, so still get it around a little bit.
Holy crap. So do you grow up in Calgary then, right?
Yeah, I grew up in Calgary. My dad was a hockey player. I played hockey my whole life. He was drafted to the Philadelphia Flyers and then blew out his knee, but he played in the Western Hockey League for the Calgary Centennials, and that was right around the time of, if you've ever seen the movie Slapshot.
Really?
Which is a great hockey movie. That's right in the era he played in. It's just mayhem.
Are you a Theo Fleury fan?
Theo's actually a good friend of mine. He used to play he still plays at the same club, a place called Cottonwood in South Calgary. So I think I was there for 2 years and got to know him really well. He's a great guy. He does a lot of help for a lot of people.
I sent him a golf towel last year, a Canada golf towel. My buddy introduced me to him, and I was like, Theo Fleury, like from the Calgary Flames, Theo Fleury, because I'm like I'm a hockey nerd from about 1990 to 1999, right? Like after that, I don't really know anything. Because that's when I used to play, and that's when I used to like collect hockey cards and the whole 9 yards, right? So when I hear like guys from the 90s, I totally geek out. I was like, oh, really? You know Theo Fleury, right? And it's
Theo's got some game too. He can play.
Does he? I don't know. I just think he's a legend, right? Did he make the Hall of Fame? He had to have. He has to be in the Hall of Fame.
He had to have. I don't know. That's what I could look on my phone. You would think, right?
I told this story before. Like, one of the brands I work with, there's an ex-NHL player that owns the company, right? He's one of the founders. And it's like, I had him on the podcast too, and we just talk crap the whole time. And like, he had won like 3 Stanley Cups or something. And we always talk crap. On Slack, I'll talk crap to him, and I'm like, oh, you suck, right? And he's like, oh yeah. And like, it's just funny because he'll tell me stories about old like players. He'll play in like the men's league up in Scottsdale, and that's like it's called the Ice Den. And it's like there's so many NHL players, retired NHL players that live up in North Scottsdale, and they all play hockey at that one rink. Mm-hmm. So the men's league is like you're gonna get your ass kicked, right? Like, oh yeah,
no, they still like to get a skate in.
It's so funny. I don't even want to go and practice or play with those guys. I just embarrass myself. I'm going slow. So you graduated from college, and then what made you have the idea for G-Tech? Or were you like working? Did you create G-Tech like right out of the gate, or were you doing something before that?
Yeah, so I graduated. It was right after the subprime mortgage crisis. So it was just crazy down in the States trying to get a work visa and somewhere to work. So went home, got into the career that my dad's always done, which is IT consulting. Had a really successful run of about 4 years doing that. And then at the time when I was first shown the first G-Tech product, I was the vice president of an IT consulting company running Western Canada, and saw one of the first samples because for years they've worn those little pouches around their waist for like 70 years in the NFL and CFL. And I just couldn't believe that all they would do is crack those hot hands and shake them up. and saw one of the first battery powered ones and just said, this is great for football, but this would be incredible for golf. Ordered the first 500 units, went around to every golf course in Calgary where I knew I had pro, just trying to sell them and get some feedback, and was lucky enough to sell all 500 a day, had a bunch of back orders. But the real aha moment that made me want to start it was the feedback from them saying, great for football and golf. What about just walking your dog outside? Or what about hunting and fishing or working outside, or all these other markets that we could sell to? So I just went home that night and wrote a short 2-page business plan that was kind of like, what's the opportunity? How could we get into it? And 8 years later, here we are.
That's insanity. You saw like the old school kind, right? Where you put the hot hands or whatever. And then where did you see did somebody bring you a prototype, or you just saw it, or how did that happen?
Yeah. So we actually, when we saw one of the first pouch samples, it just had heat kind of around the outside shell of it. So it was like putting your hand in an oven, but it wasn't that hot. And then when we just started to start the company, we actually moved to Boston, just literally picked up, got an Airbnb across the street from Boston, and built a team of 7 electrical engineers and product designers, and literally bought every type of heated clothing that exists: gloves, jackets, hoodies, sweaters, and let the engineers that are much smarter than we were rip everything apart and say, what's good, what's bad. And what we found out really quickly was, with today's available battery technology, you can only heat a reasonably small heating surface really hot. So all these competitors were advertising that they were heating like the whole front and back of a jacket, and we would put it on
like,
inside.
There's no way. You tested
there's
it
no
out.
heat. There was no heat. So we were left with this small, thin strip. And we're like, what are we going to do with that? Like, maybe heat the neck, but what was the most important was the hands. So we took that heating pad, we rolled it to create our G-Tech Heat, which is a soft, flexible bar that goes through the middle of our pouch. And if you hold on to that on high heat, you can literally barely hold on to it inside. It gets that hot. So if you can heat the hands and create blood
instead of going around the
there,
outside, right? Like, instead of like making an oven, right? You're like, well, why don't we just put it in the middle, and then the heat radiates out, and then it's like
correct.
So
no one was grabbing anything before. They'd like just put their hand in a tube that had heat.
You feel a little bit of warmth,
it.
like barely on the top of your hand. You're like, oh, there it is, right?
Exactly. Versus with
like,
us, you reach in, you grab that bar, and literally you can barely hold on to it. It gets so hot. So that's our whole claim to fame, is the fastest, hottest, and most concentrated heat.
And it's in the middle. So like wherever you put your hand, it's still radiating that heat. It's not like it's not outside in, it's inside out, essentially. Right? Like
correct.
The heat.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So then how long did the development team figure that out?
So that took about 6 months. 6 months to a year. And then the manufacturing was the next battle. So in the early days, our team would head over to China and meet with factories, and we really had no idea what we were doing, just finding people off Alibaba, and we were really struggling to get it built. And then talk about meeting people and relationships like we were before the call. I met a guy at a charity golf tournament, told him what we did, showed him a prototype, and he managed a $10 billion supply chain out of China. And he says, I can get this made for you, no problem. And 2 weeks later, he was on a plane with us to China and set up all the production. And it's the same factory we still use to this day. So he's kind of like my guardian angel, Rick Pingle, if you're out there. Thank you for the help. He got us to the right factories, and we've tweaked things and changed things over the years, but just to have the right core manufacturer that understood what we wanted and our needs and the quality.
It accelerated
was very important.
Everything, right? It's not
it just went
by years, right? Because it's not like trial and error. Oh, that sucked. Trial, error, that sucked. Like, you literally got to places where it wasn't going to be crap, right? Like, and you didn't worry about it. And it was like, they make the thing, and you probably get the best price because he's homies with the other guys, right? So it's almost like you're not playing games. You're not. And that's the hard thing too. People don't understand. Like, you can start a brand. It's not that hard nowadays, right? Going to Alibaba. Oh, you want to make whatever? There you go. Make a Shopify store. Okay, ship the Alibaba stuff to your house, and then put it on your Shopify store. Like, there's the model. But the problem is like, it could be crap. It might not work. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, you don't know. Like, it's just completely roll the dice, like, and you don't have to worry about that. Like, you were able to find good suppliers essentially right out of the gate. And then you're like, oh, game on.
Yeah.
Right.
And then once we found that, the real thing that helped us take off, because we really got going 2 years ago. We had the best year we ever had 2 years ago. This year will be about 300% over last year, which is really solid growth. But what really came to the equation that helped with that is a sourcing company called Four Corners Sourcing. So instead of having our team have to fly over there and check in on things, we have a whole group over there that manages everything from fabric sourcing, electronic sourcing, manufacturing, quality control, shipping out. Even when we used to order in small shipments. Now we get multiple containers that come in at every time, just making sure everything's packed the right way. So you do need a team to assist when you get the volume, but a quality manufacturer, a really good sourcing team it's not even a nice to have. It's truly a must have, or you're just going to go out of business so quick.
I guess when it comes to sourcing, for people to understand, how does that work with sourcing? Because it's different, right? You have a manufacturer, they manufacture, but now it's about getting it here and optimizing your shipping, essentially.
Yeah, no, well, it's very timely with everything that's gone on since COVID. So in terms of our costs, we really have two costs that we call it. The first is FOB, and that's what we pay our manufacturer. So say you're selling a product for $100. Usually you'll pay a manufacturer $15 to $20 on a product, but then you have to pay for it to get shipped. And then once it ships, you have duties, taxes,
import duties
and everything.
Right? All the things you don't understand, that there's a tack on price that everybody gets their hand on it before you even get it to your front door.
You need to know what every penny cost is for everything. So we use another really reputable firm called DJS International that manages all that. Again, all of the stuff I've referenced so far is managed by $100 million, $1 billion groups that help us manage it, because it can get very complex. And if you've seen what happened since COVID, even though we're just in Houston, we could have come from China, shipped it into Long Beach, and just trained it into Dallas. But we actually took an extra couple days, went down through the canal and in through Houston. And I have business associates, friends, partners that have had containers sitting off Long Beach for 4 to 6 months, not being able to get their product, no sales. So we're really lucky that we took everything in through Houston this year. It was truly an incredible call by our team to make sure we got product in time.
Wow. So when you get your shipments in, then what's the process like? So then is it going through the canal and all that stuff?
Yeah, so it just comes down to the canal, comes into Houston. Houston's like a 3-hour drive up to Dallas. It just gets dropped off in the port and trucked up to our facility, and then our team just unloads it into our warehouse. And usually when we have big shipments arriving, means lots of shipments are needed to go out, because we usually are sold out or have back orders. So that's always like the craziest couple of days. It's just nonstop offloading and then shipping. But starting the season, we're actually...
It's a big scale thing. I mean, people don't realize the scale of this, right? Like, it's not just buying stuff in Alibaba, having it shipped to your house, and then shipping it out. It's just like a full-fledged operational parts of the puzzle have to be in place to do this at scale.
It's mandatory. Like, without that setup, you're just going to fail.
You're losing money, right? You're losing money.
Yeah.
Stuff stuck out in the ocean somewhere.
Yeah, so we really locked down that whole back end piece, and then now it's focusing on partnerships. Stuff like we did with the Ryder Cup this past year was super cool. That really helped take our brand off. We had a couple big memes that went viral. That Paul Casey, Dustin Johnson one. I'm sure you've seen that. He puts his hands in, and Paul Casey gives a funny face. So now it's just the fun stuff: sales, marketing, and partnerships.
Yeah, because now you're able to focus on what you guys want to do, which is make cool stuff and sell it, not getting it to your door. Right? Like, to your door, not to ship it out.
Correct.
Like, the whole process, brilliant. It's all about finding the right people, right? Or getting the right connections, or making the right relationships where people are like, oh, I can help you with that. No worries. Like, that's half the game right there, right? I mean, literally, sourcing and getting it and manufacturing.
Yep. Well, there is no end game without that. There is no sales unless you have that. So it's half of the total picture for sure, but it's funny because it's the first part.
Well, I think people always come up with a really good idea and they figure out a fast way of making it, and usually they'll go buy it in China somehow, right? Or if they're lucky, maybe in the United States. But they don't think it all the way through. And then it's like, okay, yeah, I sold out on my limited run or whatever. And then it's like, okay, what are you going to do if you want to order 10,000 of those things now? How are you going to manage that? It's easy when you do 100 or 500. Yeah, I had a buddy once who told me a story where, like, he got a bad freight forwarder, and, like, he went to the airport to go pick up his stuff, and they're like, you owe us $25,000. Like, they wouldn't release it to him. And he's like, whoa, what are we talking about? He's like, no, because of import duties and everything like that. He's like, no one ever told me about this, right? So now literally they had this stuff at the airport in a container, not a big ass container, like a smaller container, and he had come up with $25,000. And he said he put it on his credit card. He's like, I have no choice. You have my stuff. you know, and like he ended up selling all the stuff out. But like still, like there's these things you don't know such as import duties and all that other stuff that you just don't realize that you better tack that onto your price, right? Because
you have
if
to.
not, so you've been around for, you said 8 years, right?
Yeah, like the first 4 years was R&D, tweaking the manufacturing. We really got launched about 4 years ago. Last year, 2020 slash 2021, because our seasons kind of overlap, was our true big launch year. We did the Ryder Cup. We got our MLB license. We got some huge hunting partnerships with Realtree. Like the company really, really took off. And then again, this year we've had about a 3x
like a
increase.
rocket ship, dude. Like you've been sitting on this, like, you know, launch pad, right? And you're like
waiting to take off.
You know what I'm saying? Like you're rumbling and you're making some money, you're paying the bills, like you're developing, you're creating. And then it's like it disconnects, right? Like last year or a year and a half ago, especially when it connects from like, and then it's like ever since then, it's like you guys are going like 1,000,000 miles an hour. But you had like 5-6 years of like drilling it in, dialing it in, right? Before, you know, because that's the thing too, is like you have these relationships with like Realtree and MLB and, you know, the Ryder Cup. But if you couldn't fulfill it and you were making some crap product, that would never have worked. Right. So it's almost like
on.
The first part of the battle is even proving that, hey, we can handle this to these brands, right? Like, hey, we make a really cool product. But the second part of that is like, we're not a piece of crap and it's not going to break. And you're not, because these brands are not messing around, right? Like, especially if they're buying them in bulk or they're, you know, putting their logo on it or whatever it might be. So it's almost like you have to be established enough to even have these relationships, you know?
Oh, yeah. No, and you get one try with most of them. Like we've been really lucky to get into Dick's Sporting Goods, Golf Galaxy, Costco, Academy. We're going into Home Depot, Lowe's, Kohl's this year, and they're all incredible brands to work with. But you really have to know what you're doing, or the big box world can eat you alive. So thankfully, we got some great partners that support us, but you definitely have to know what you're doing
to be able to fulfill it too. Because these are big orders. They're not like, oh, we're only buying 100 or 500. Like they're buying like 5,000. You know what I mean?
Yes.
10,000. It's like we need 10,000 that work perfectly and that don't look like crap and that we can put on the floor. But you guys did it. It's just so crazy because like I remember, I don't even know how in the heck I got on your email list. I have no idea, but I did, right? So every once in a while I get an email. It's like almost like once a week. I'm kind of kidding around, but it was at least a couple times a month. And to be like, oh yeah, G-Tech, blah 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 blah, you know, G-Tech, and I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then I was super excited, seriously, when, you know, when Nick said like, hey, I know Jesse from G-Tech. I was like, what, for reals? Like I know those guys. I've been getting their emails forever. I'm like, that thing's cool as hell. And so then like I don't know, I was like super stoked because it was cool because I've been a fan from afar. If that makes any sense? Like I had never purchased a product, but I was like watching and like, oh, that's cool. That's cool.
That makes me smile to hear that. That really makes me smile to hear that because it's taken that long. Like it's still people, though a lot of people don't know who we are. I mean, the Ryder Cup
barely scratched the surface, bro. You're
barely scratched it. Because most companies have segment markets. Our market is so wide. We do sports. Within that, you have golf, baseball, football, soccer, all the athletes, pro, amateur, youth, all the fans for all of those. Just if we had that, would be a huge market. Then you have hunting, fishing, you have military, you have medical is a huge one for us. We work with Raynaud's, arthritis, lupus.
There's so many sports this goes into. You can go to F1 racing, you can go into NASCAR, you can go into like wherever it's cold and nobody wants to, you know, and they want to keep your hands warm. Like it's not, and you're right, because we were talking about before the show, like those initial ones, like, you know, like when you realize that people were just using, you know, those hot sticks or whatever and putting them in a little bag. And you're like, wait, what? For real? That's how they use it? Like, it kind of blew your mind. Like, there has to be a better way than this. You know, like, it's so...
I thought at the professional level, there had to be, right? Just because it's like, what?
Yeah, like, you watch these guys, like, no, man, they're buying Hot Pockets or whatever. They're called. Hot Hands.
Yeah, Hot Hands, yeah. Yeah, it's truly astonishing that that's what they use, but not for long.
Well, yeah, now that's going away. So did you have to patent this technology?
We did. So we're really lucky that most other heated technology that was out there was like the flat heating pads that would just sit on jackets and vests or hoodies or in a pouch.
It's innovative enough. It's not like you're doing the complete opposite of what they were doing, even though you're in the same space.
Correct.
So then how many patents did you guys have to get?
We only have one. We only have the one main one. It's the utility of grabbing onto that bar. And if you look at a lot of the things we've done, we also have locked up all the major licenses. So we're through with a European Tour for the Ryder Cup through 2023. So even if someone had a similar technology, they can't play in that space. I always look at protection as, a three-way machine. One is your IP, two is your brand, and three is your partnerships. So we've been working really hard on all three to make sure that we have first movers advantage in this market. But the heated clothing industry as a whole is still very, very small. Like, we test people all the time, poll 1,000 people. Can you name a heated clothing company? Can you name two? And it's like less than 5% can name a heated clothing company still. So it's still a very, very new market. And we're just trying to get there as fast and deep and wide and quick as we can to get ownership.
Did you sign a thing with the PGA Tour yet, or no?
So with the PGA Tour, we're working with them on the President's Cup. So we really like to sponsor events. So in 2016, we were a supplier to the Ryder Cup US team. In 2020 or 2021, because it was played a year later, we were the official Ryder Cup sponsor for both US and European teams, which means we could submit product to both teams, of which the USA team, pretty much all the guys wore it. If you've seen the content we've come out with, all the big guys, Cantley, DJ, Brooks, were all wearing and using it the whole time. And only Tommy Fleetwood from the European team wore it. I think I read the stat over the first 3 holes during the 5 rounds, the USA won 15 of those holes and the European team only won 2. So I was there. I was on the first hole with Travis from PGA Memes, literally first hole, first row, both days. And it was freezing cold. We were really jumping up and down to try and stay warm, even with multiple layers on. So I'd hope to believe that G-Tech played a role in Team USA winning that one, even though I'm Canadian, semi-non-biased. But it's no denying that in cold weather golf, having that pouch is just a no-brainer.
Yeah, big time, right? Like, nobody likes being cold. Especially in golf, like, you gotta keep your hands warm, right? So if your hands are freaking freezing and you're trying to tee off, or even play, how would you play? Well,
there's like a performance side to it, but it's just also fun. Like, Bandon Dunes is one of our top clients. They put them in all of their golf shops, and you're just going to go spend what? You're going to fly to Bandon or fly into Eugene and drive and stay for 4 or 5 days. You're going to spend 5 to 10 grand. You're telling me you want to go out and be miserable the whole time? Like,
yeah,
it's not just about performance.
Yeah,
it's about well, it's just, you're going to spend that much money, go play that much golf at those incredible places. Like, keep your hands warm, keep your body warm, and enjoy it. You don't want to just be sitting there freezing the whole time. So we started sports performance for sure, but it really gravitated into a product for anyone who's, for any reason, even if you're just an amateur golfer who's a 30 handicap that's going to play Pebble Beach with his friends and doesn't want to freeze.
I think it's brilliant. Are you trying to get with the NFL now then? Or are you with the NFL?
Yeah, so that's next up. So we're in 24 of the 32 NFL teams over the past season have bought our product. So that's our patented heat in their pouches. There's only a couple teams that didn't. The main reason why is they just didn't have any cold weather games. But we actually just came on Sunday, just 2 days ago, from West Palm Beach for the NFL equipment manager meeting, which is when they take all 32 equipment managers and go look at the latest and greatest in helmets and cleats and protective wear. So we were one of, I think, only 30 vendors that were allowed to be there. It's a very kind of exclusive group. So we're now working with all teams to tweak and change, because for the NFL, everyone wants something different. Some guys want wider cuffs. Some guys want smaller cuffs. Some guys want crazy heat. Some guys don't want that much heat. Some guys want super lightweight batteries. Some guys want their batteries to last forever. So it was a really cool opportunity to sit down and talk with all the teams and say, what do you want? Can we deliver it to you? Let's go. So based on how all the meetings went, what looks like we'll be able to supply all the teams, but maybe 1 or 2. But we are working to get our NFL license, which would then allow us to put the logos on the product and sell them on Fanatics and our website. But for right now, we're just supplying to the teams.
It's like they're doing the marketing for you, though, right? Because once you get on the team and then people see it, they're like, oh, I know what that is. And they just want to buy it because they're like, oh, so-and-so is using it. Oh, so-and-so is using it. Like, essentially, by getting these deals with these brands, right, essentially they're doing your marketing for you, because it's like...
You're 100% right.
like, they're I don't know, You know, it's not like you had to go do a deal with Brooks or DJ to where your heating pouch. It's more like they're freezing their ass off, and it was supplied from on the team. You know, they probably kept it, right? And they probably
well, of course.
You know what I'm
DJ is probably one of our biggest golf advocates. He seems to have it all the time. I met his brother Austin at a charity golf tournament. Great guy. Just love those two brothers out there doing that. So cool. Imagine to go just travel the world and caddy for your brother and have all those amazing things together. But the Johnsons have been really, really good to us and very supportive over the years. But it's funny, we'll still get guys like you saw the Players 2 weeks ago. It's Florida. No one's thinking it's going to be cold. We start getting texts from players. Oh, I forgot my pouch. Can you send me one? And turn on the TV, and Louis had it on. Brian Harmon, Cantley. So it's funny. We got trying to brainwash these guys.
They're like
it's
texting you. They're like, hey, just send me one. Like, overnight to me, please. It's freaking cold here.
I can't tell you on my hands and toes how many times that's happened over the years. But we'll do it all day long because of visibility, like you said, right?
You're needed. They need you, and they don't have time to go buy it and wait for shipping. And you guys are just friends, and you're like, yeah, sure, I'll send you one tonight. You'll get it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
so we're working hard with them to make sure they start bringing it with them. Like they travel with rain gear and all their clothes. We're just like, just throw the pouch and the battery and the charger in. It might not get cold, but if it does, you have it. But we'll always be there to support those guys, the best players in the world. We want them to perform their best.
It's a cool product because it's like unassuming, right? Like it's a needed product that you don't realize you need until you're cold, and nobody likes being cold. I think it's awesome what you guys are doing.
It literally was one of the number one comments at the NFL meeting was, we might only need it one game a year, but that game we need it is just mandatory. So it's the same with golf. You know, I'm going to probably be back home in Canada most of this summer. I'll be playing some tournaments. I might only need it a round or two, but I'm bringing it to every tournament, especially in Canada with our seasonal weather. Like, it's just a no-brainer to keep with you.
The other thing too is I don't think people realize it's hard as hell to get these endorsement deals, right? With like MLB, like I was looking the other day because you can look at NCAA stuff, right? And then like what they want you to do, and like you're like, it's crazy. And on top of that, you have to pay. Like it's like it's a fee. They charge a fee to even apply, right? Because someone has to vet you and then see if you're a right fit. Like it's a whole long process. They're not messing around, right? And like if they're gonna slap their label on it, like it's crazy. You know, like people. I look at brands when
it's a real deal.
Brands have those deals. I'm like, holy shit, that's a lot of work. Like that wasn't just like, oh, here you go, let's just do it. No. It's a whole process, like big process.
Oh yeah. No, I think the NFL application we're working on is like over 100 pages, and it's basically just coming down to us right now if we're going to do it this year or next year. It's going to be one of the 2 years. It's looking like it'll push to next year just with everything we have going on. But it is a serious commitment in time, effort, money, the whole nine. It's not something you can half-ass by any means. So we have a really senior, solid board at G-Tech that kind of hones in the sales and marketing guys, because if it was up to us, we'd want to do everything. But we make real smart financial decisions based on lots of analysis to make sure that, if we do it, we're doing it right.
What companies out there are sporting, I want to call it, like leagues, are you wanting to work with that you're not working with now?
So for sure, the NFL, 100%, is probably at the top of our list. And then European soccer is of huge interest for us.
So smart.
We're talking with Leeds, Manchester United. I mean, soccer is bigger than NFL, MLB, PGA Tour combined. Throw them all combined, times it by 5. It's not even close. So we're going into the UK.
They're out on the freaking pitch, and they're freezing their asses off out there.
They're freezing, and their fans are freezing. Look at all those games. 50% of the games they play in are freezing cold.
They're die-hard loyal. Like, they're more loyal than any sport anywhere, essentially.
It's like nothing I've ever seen. So we're opening up a UK company this year that's going to open up UK distribution for us in both the distribution warehouse and Amazon, which will be great. We're going into Australia, which is super exciting. People hear that and they're like, what? But our seasons are actually flipped. So as we're going into our summer, they're actually going to our winter. So we have a big push on in Australia right now for sports down there. But for us, the top two would be like NFL for football. Yeah. And then going into European soccer leagues. Dude, they love it. My main business partner company, Patrick Mullaney, went over there and spent a couple weeks over there, and every club he met with was just all in. They absolutely loved it and thought it was incredible. So that's something we'll be revisiting for this fall winter season for sure.
You guys, like I said, you guys barely even scratched the surface, and like it. I mean, you have a big dent, right? I mean, what you have done in a couple of years, but it's like this is gonna be a mega company, right? Like it's gonna.
I hope so, Paul.
No,
We're working hard to get it there. But yeah, that's like the sports
product that's so universal, right? Essentially, I mean,
that's the thing. We have a military grade product that's available on our website. It's just called the Stealth 3.0 military grade. We've sold that to the U.S. Army, U.S. Navy, Special Forces, ATF, Secret Service, NASA ordered some. We just did a huge deal with the outdoor workforce construction company for them using it outside, because we ran a study trying to show productivity of workers using our product in the cold winter season. And we were honestly just hoping for 5 or 10 minutes a day of increased productivity, because over a 6-month winter season, that's a huge ROI for them. But it came up to an hour a day. And the reason for that is guys hate wearing gloves. They're using tablets. They're using their phones. So by using our product,
they don't want to wear some big ass glove trying to fix something.
Exactly. So, with all those things, military, outdoor workforce, medical, sports, hunting, fishing, one of our biggest things we've had our senior leadership, our directors and senior managers come in do is just like focus, like get hyper focused on a few. Because if we wanted to, we could sell into 10 plus markets. And right now we're just really focused on a core 4 or 5.
Yeah, you want to be really good at one thing before you move to the next thing, because then you're too diversified. Then you're like you're doing a half-assed job on all of them because you're just doing too many. Something.
One of my favorite lines. Just get really good at one thing.
That's the best advice anyone's ever given me, actually.
Yeah.
It was a shoe company, and they're like, we just make shoes. He's like, that's all we focus on, and he's like, if we want to do something else, work with somebody else on that one thing. But we're really good at making really good shoes, and you have to be, because if you're just doing 5 things at once, you're going to be half-assed. You're going to be 20% on all of them, sort of 100% on one. So it's like, you'll lock in the deal, you'll get all figure squared away, then you move to the next one, and you learn from the first one, and then then it's rinse, repeat. You're not doing 50 freaking deals at once, because you're probably doing some deals, but like some are small. But these big boys, it's like we're gonna get this thing dialed in perfectly, because we don't know what we're gonna get ourselves into yet.
Yeah, you're spot on. It's like it echoes what I would have said. It's you got to get really good at one thing, and you can start working on some things, but it can't be like 20%, 20%, 20%. It's like 80%. Let's focus on this, and let's sprinkle a little bit of other time over there. So that's definitely been sports for us. Sports has been where we started. Sports has been our most success. I think we're in 300 green grass golf accounts now across the country with a very limited sales staff, with a goal to get into 1,000 this year. But we're in Olympic Club, Cypress Point, Olympia Fields. Like, we're in some of the biggest, top 100 golf courses in the country. So we're really starting to expand that footprint. But as our team grows, we can now start dedicating some subject matter experts to certain markets to work more full time on, as our senior team kind of just worries about the big picture.
So you guys also have other things you're developing too, though, right? Like you're not gonna be a one-trick pony, essentially. Like, yeah, you're really good at one thing, but you're also diversifying into other products that I'm not sure if you can talk about or not, but I know a lot.
No, we can because I'm super excited about it. So this fall we'll be coming out with our new heated hoodie, heated jacket, and heated vest. So taking our same technology and putting it into a new apparel line. The pouch has been great for us. We all call it our golden goose. We've sold a lot of those. We've gotten those all around the world, and it's been very successful, but we didn't want to just be a one product company. So we're in final development on those products, and we'll be looking to launch those this fall. Cannot wait. All the samples that we've shown our partners and influencers and pro athletes have just been tremendous feedback. So we're really, really excited for this fall. I truly think it's going to be a breakout year for the company, because we still have a 17% on average customer return rate. So customers are continuing to rebuy the same product or buy it for other people.
It's so having almost, man,
it's crazy. It's truly crazy. Because we do sell a lot of accessories as well, but having expand the product line further is going to really allow us to go to the same people who already love our product, love our tech, and say, hey, you already have the pouch. Here's the new heated hoodie. for being a valued customer. Here's 25% off. So we're really excited to get that going this fall. So that should plan to launch kind of mid to end of September. And then obviously our busiest season starts from October 1st through to about the end of February.
So your season's wrapping up, quote unquote, but not really, because you're diversified in other markets, or soon to be in other markets. So you're really not going to have a season at some point, because like, like, oh, golf or football or baseball. Yeah. But those will end at different places in the year. Right. But then if you're if you're playing Major League Soccer, if you're in Australia, who knows, whatever sports down there, right? You could do cricket or you could do rugby. I mean, there's like, you'll never have a downtime, essentially. It's just,
that's our goal. That's why we're going into Australia this summer, because it's their winter. And cold is relative. That's like one of the coolest things about G-Tech. Like, I can tell you, like every month we run a report, and California and Florida are in the top 10 for sales every month. And people look at it and go, how? And it's because cold is relative. When it's 90 degrees every day and it goes to 50, they think that's as cold as 0 degrees in Alaska. So
yeah, I mean, Arizona
really
cold, dude. Arizona cold's like it's 70 degrees out, right? Like for real. I put a freaking sweatshirt on. It was 74 last night. I was we're going to baseball practice. I'm like, I'm cold. Yeah, it's all relative. It's always a joke, right? When I was talking to people in the Midwest or the East Coast in the wintertime, they're like, oh, it's 35 today. And I'm like, oh, I remember when it was 35 out because I went to college back in the Midwest. I was like, that was the day. Like, it'd be snowy and cold in these first 30-degree days. Everybody's out in shorts and throwing frisbees and washing their car, right? And it was 35 degrees here. I'd be wearing a parka and a beanie and freeze. I have my heat on full blast. So it's all you're right. It's all relative.
It's hilarious. And even since I've moved from Canada full time to Dallas the past 2 years. So everyone thinks Dallas, and I thought it was really warm the whole year. It's not. Last year we had a snow freeze that set the shitty down for 5 days. Couldn't get anywhere. But we get probably in Dallas, I would say 20 to 30 days minimum a year below 40 degrees. It gets cold. So we're in over 35 golf courses now in the Dallas area. Obviously, it's our home base, so we've gotten to know through the Northern Texas PGA Association a lot of the clubs and work with them, but they love it. People want to play all year round, and why not give them some heat to be able to. It's
brilliant too for you to be in green grass too. Talk about an easy sell, right? If it's a cold day and you go to the golf course and you don't remember to bring something, it's like you're buying a dumbass hat, right? It's like, right. I am cold. I just spent $100, $200 to go play golf, and I'm freezing my ass off. Oh, what's that? Oh, that's cool. I'm gonna check that. Oh, it keeps your hands warm. Sold, right? It's not even.
It's an impulse.
It's an impulse buy because of comfort. It's not an impulse buy because you want to look cool, right? I mean, You're still gonna look cool wearing it, but it's not it's a different impulse buy, right? And it's brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I can't
think of another. Honestly, I can't think of another product like this. That's I just can't. I can't be I cannot think of another product that's I wouldn't even call it an impulse buy. It's more of a necessity buy. When I'm cold, I don't care what it costs. It's when you're hungry, right? It's no different.
Right.
You're cold,
right.
You're hungry. It's I'm going to eat. Well, I'm cold. I want something to keep me warm. Dude, we went to Flagstaff 2 weeks ago with my family, right? And it was it was snowing with our kids up there, whatever. My wife's like, oh, I forgot my jacket. I'm like, oh, tough on you. And she's like, no, I didn't buy a new jacket. No, her jacket was in the freaking luggage. Right?
Yeah.
So we had to go to Target, and she went spent $150 on a jacket, and I'm like, what the hell? We have 50 jackets at home. I'm cold.
Yeah.
Right? So it's the same freaking thing. It doesn't matter. I don't know. You guys are
And the cool thing about the pouch is if you do buy it on an impulse for a golf round, you use it when you go watch your kid play soccer or baseball, like you said, or you go use it on a hunting trip with your buddies. So
do you always use it?
Yeah, you got a million different uses for it. We got a cool campaign coming out next fall that's going to solely be around the uses of G-Tech. We've written them down in an Excel spreadsheet, and we have over 100 uses so far. Some of those do double up, so it's soccer mom, baseball mom, but they're different. Not every soccer mom's a baseball mom. So we're going to come out with a real cool marketing campaign this fall that just shows Here's all the uses for G-Tech, let it buck.
Do you make G-Tech for kids or no?
We're coming out with a kids line, actually. It's funny you say that. So we're coming out with a junior model that's going to be really cool colorways, some baby blues.
They're going to run the battery out right away because they're going to forget.
Yeah. Well, kids
You're
are
gonna
pretty
get
good with
freaking
electronics these days.
stains
Better
all
than
over
adults.
everything. You better make them black. That's all you should do.
They're fully machine washable. So for the parents that get some mustard stains on them, you can just machine wash them. You just pop the battery out and throw it in the washer.
I'm not throwing you a bone here, dude. I'm like, Jose cannot think of a product that is universal. That I just can't. I can't.
No, thank you. No, it
Like,
really means a lot. We just need
That's
more
crazy.
people
I
to
just
know
can't
we
think of anything.
exist.
I'm like, oh yeah, you're like this. Like, no, man, you're your own market, and like you're literally just paving the future for whatever you guys want to do. And like,
Thank you, bro. That means a
you
lot.
add some other technology into the technology you're already doing that nobody's doing, then you're just creating new stuff essentially. That's like,
right.
You know, I don't know. I think it. So where did you really start at? What would you say? What industry or what sport was that? Golf?
Sports performance in golf and football was for sure the catalyst, because it's a football product forever. And then with my background in golf and pretty much everyone in, yeah, super easy.
You're like, go to the golf course and be like, hey, check this out. This is what it does. It keeps your hands warm. And they probably went to you and said, hey, can you embroider that with our logo on it? Yeah, sure. It'll cost you
Done.
X. You know?
Yeah.
Like, no
Yeah,
problem.
corporate embroidery is about 60% of our business. So for golf courses, putting their club logo on it, or for member guest tournaments, putting it on. Like, we've done 5 PGA tournaments now. We just did the Genesis Open a couple weeks ago down in Riviera. We've done the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. Like, I don't know how many
they buy
corporate
them
or charity.
from you, right? Like, so
Yeah.
like Waste Management could buy it from you and be like, hey,
Yeah.
we want to do a bunch of G-Tech stuff, which I'm sure.
Yeah, we almost did Waste last year, actually. I got to get those guys hopefully locked down for next year. But how many times have you played in like a charity or corporate golf tournament and you've gotten a little baggie of stuff and it's the same crap you already have? It's a, 3/4 zip
ugly ass
fleece,
shirt,
it's
ugly ass hat,
ugly shirt,
a tag for your bag,
junk.
ball marker, and a sleeve of balls. I mean, it's kind of what it is. Some tees.
No, it's just junk.
I mean,
It's just
garbage.
junk. So I don't even take it anymore. If it's got something cool in it, I'll grab it.
I'll take
But
the balls.
I got
I'll take the ball.
Yeah.
Come on.
ammo.
That's about
You
it.
need the ammo.
I need the ammo of my gun because I'm gonna lose that shit right away. So.
But no, for corporate gifting, we do a lot with Christmas gifting for employees. I mean, what
Dude,
a great gift for staff. Your mind.
Can
we get smoke to come out?
You're like a worldwide construction company. They'd buy that. Like, I mean,
Yeah, just
there's so
actually
many
did a big
places.
deal.
Municipalities would buy it. Cops, bunch of companies. Like, I mean, everybody. Like anything. If you're out working outside, you would have to have one. If you're in a mildly cold environment, right, or an environment that changes. And that guy, right? The guy who gets it from work is probably gonna buy another one. Right, for hunting,
Yeah.
'cause he's like doesn't want to wear some blue one when he's out looking hunting ducks. He's gonna want to like wear the camo one.
Yeah, we're talking with the New York Fire Department right now, New York Police Department. I mean, I think there's 45,000 New York police officers. It's a pretty big order.
It's nuts.
Crazy. I have like the 8th largest army, just in New York.
I think
police.
it's fascinating. This is so fascinating because it's like the expansiveness of what this is there's no stopping it. I don't see a wall, right? Like, what's the wall? Well, I guess everybody in the world could have one. I mean,
Yeah, it'd be a good wall to run into, my friend.
you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think I'm really impressed. I mean, I
No,
didn't
thank
understand
you.
the technology because I didn't get. You sent me one a couple weeks ago. I haven't opened it, like I was saying before, but like I didn't understand the technology. But now I understand technology, and now I understand like the breadth of what you guys are doing. You're unstoppable. I mean, seriously.
Oh yeah, thank you, man.
For real, you're
thank
really
you. It
good
really
spot.
means the world to me.
This is not some dude. Listen, I'm gonna tell you, this is some guy who's like, oh, I made a pouch and you put some hot hands in it and we can embroider some crap on it. Like, that's not what this is. This is like a product that has a complete supply chain for it already, and then now essentially it's just having to get to these places, and then it's gonna really.
Yeah, it's like if a tree falls in the woods and no one's there, does it make a sound? That's our issue right now. Is we just got to let people know we exist. So we're working hard with people like yourself, amazing partners and advocates for us, just to help us tell our story and get it out there. Because there's just so many people who could wear and use this product and technology and have it improve their daily quality of life and get outside more and spend more time with their kids. And we have a charity called G-Tech Gives Back.
Right now, as soon as I open my box up, I'll be using that shit all the time.
I can't wait. Either fire it on high, don't put your hands in for like 3 minutes, and then put your hands in and shoot me a like video or
Yeah, like
something
third
of your
degree
first
burns.
reaction.
And I'm like,
yeah,
you asshole.
I'm so hot. No, we built it just right so that you can heat it to like the highest heat, but there's no issues with it hurting you.
No, I'm
But
just
you
teasing.
you need that hot heat. or else
I love it. I think it's smart. I just think it's really smart. And I think in like 5 years, not even 5 years, or maybe let's say 5 years, let's call it safe. Everybody's gonna know what it is. They're like, oh, I have one of those. You know, it's gonna be one of those things you just have one, right? But you're not gonna have one. You're gonna have 5 of them, right? Because you're gonna have one
Right.
for the husband and wife. The kids are gonna have one. You know, if you're like, it's just gonna be one of those things. And then that kid's gonna want to buy as they get older. They're gonna get their like. I just see it's one of those products that could like develop over time because it's not some hack. Does that make sense?
Right.
Like it's not like, oh, it's
yeah.
you know, like what was
One of our
before, wasn't it?
shareholders. I was just saying, one of our shareholders just sent us a really cool product photo. He was out skiing in Vail, and it was him, his wife, and his 3 kids, and they all had their G-Techs on the chairlift, and just huge smiles from all of them. Because you know when you're going up on a
Warm,
chairlift,
right?
that's when you're the coldest. You're just sitting there. So they literally just put their hands in, and they just warm up on the chairlift and ski down. So yeah, it's a whole family product from everyone from youth up to the elderly. It can be used honestly.
Yeah, because
for
once a
anyone.
kid sees it on TV, or once a person sees it on TV, right? Like through whatever sporting event, or fishing, or soccer, or whatever, like, oh, what's that? You know. And once they kind of understand technology, I think that would be the only thing that you have to work against right now is that people don't understand the technology, right? I think people
That is.
see the pouch thing that's been around forever in the football NFL, like literally, and they go, oh, that's just some guy making a pouch thing with an embroidered logo on it for the baseball team. It's like,
Right.
no, that thing, we're the complete opposite of that, you know. So I think that would probably be the only pain point is like people understanding the technology of why it really does work. And I think once they understand that, then it's like game on, right?
You couldn't have said any better, Paul. Honestly, our biggest thing going for us is when I show someone this product in person, they flip out. When I try and explain it to someone in person, they have no idea what's going on. They're like, what? How's it work? How's it heat?
Yeah, I think that's the key. I mean, it's not so much. I think it's going to sell a lot of them because where you're being placed at and the relationships you're building. But I think like to open it up to the masses, people have to understand that this is not a hot hands pocket, right? Like that's it. So I mean, now that I fully understand it and how it all works, I'm like, oh, things are freaking cool as hell. You know what I mean? I thought it was cool what you guys were doing, but now I understand the technology. I'm like, oh, that's really smart. So
I can't wait to see the unboxing.
I guess the next level would be like a rechargeable battery. That would be cool, right? Like,
It is rechargeable, the battery.
Oh, it is? I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be some
Yeah.
dumbass.
So there you go. Yeah, it comes with a wall charger, and it's actually got 2 split heads. You can charge
Right.
2 batteries at the same time. Put the second one inside the pouch. So like you'll
Okay, so the
see
next step would be that you could use the pouch to charge your phone. That'd be sick.
that we are working on that. The problem is if you suck any
Drain
juice
all
to
the
charge
battery
your
power,
phone,
not even-
you lose.
Yeah.
Then you can't heat your hands. So it's like customers say that to us from time to time, and I'm like, well, do you want to heat your hands? Or do you want to charge your
Like, what do you
phone?
want? Car battery stuck to this thing? Come on, like
You
for real.
kind of got to pick. Yeah, you kind of got to pick one or the other. So hopefully, if battery technology picks up a bit here, we can do that. But it's
What if you
slow.
had
I
like
mean,
a rechargeable battery, like one of those, those bricks you use for your phone when you're like traveling or whatever? Like, does that charge the thing too?
that could charge our battery, but then you're lugging that around out on the ski hill or the
It's
golf
heavy shit.
course.
It's like
yeah,
2 pounds of like
it's doable. It's just more
I was
gear.
wondering.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. Well, I'm really glad to have you on the show today. It was fun to hear about what you guys are up to and the growth, and I am blown away. Like it's like I knew you guys were growing, but I had no idea, and that was just based on emails I got in marketing. So this is the real deal, you guys. Like you guys have to buy one of these. Like you're gonna buy one. Either buy it now or buy it in 2 years when it's like literally everywhere and you like understand it. But you're gonna buy one. I already know it. So where can people find you at, or where can the people buy your products from?
Yeah, so gtechapparel.com is our website that has our full product offering and catalog. We ship literally within 1 to 2 days every single day all across the country in the US. Paul, thank you so much for having me on the show. It's been so cool to talk with you and tell your audience a little bit more about what we're doing here at G-Tech.
Well, I'm glad you're here. You're a new friend of the show, and I love what you're doing. And you guys got to buy this, like, for reals. This is cool. This is like cool. This is cool, like, get techie, nerdy, cool. Like, I'm like geeked out by this. I think this is really cool. So you guys need to check it out. And I will see you guys in the next episode.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Behind the Golf Brand Podcast.
You're gonna beat me at golf?
Stay connected on and off the show by visiting golfersauthority.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment.
Golf is always more fun when you win.
Stay out of the beach and see you on the green.